So, Mr. Tagney, so when were you appointed as acting chair?
I was appointed as acting chair on 2 moments. From last Thursday.
Okay.
Yes.
And have you been briefed on the governance issues that were facing the Board of Housing Australia?
So I was appointed to the board on the 18th of December last year. So
last year?
I've been an active board member over the course of this year.
Okay. And have you been briefed on this governance report that was done into Housing Australia, the intersection report?
No, I wasn't on the board at the time of those discussions, Senator, so I don't have a knowledge or briefing of that matter.
Okay. You haven't been given a briefing on that?
No.
Okay. Are there any governance issues at Housing Australia you've been asked to try and help clean up?
Every organisation looks at continual improvement, Senator, and we are working through that as an organisation does. Sure. There's no particular governance matters that I've been required to look at. The committees that we have, the board committees that we have, identify issues that come up to board, and there's ongoing discussion across a range of those matters.
So what are the major ones that have come to your attention?
We're always seeking continual improvement around culture.
I understand that, but this is Senate estimates. We're trying to work out what's going on inside the agency.
Sure. We are managing a range of measures in terms of new programs. So we have grown significantly as an organisation. With that comes some growing pains, from NIFIC at around 100 staff to approximately 230 staff at Housing Australia now, and the implementation of programs like the 5% deposit scheme and the Help to Buy scheme have been significant programs for us to build and stand up with the partners that we have.
What about governance and personnel issues?
Personnel issues, it's been discussed before this committee before, around the level of turnover that we're seeking to manage on an ongoing basis. Sorry?
What's driving that?
Change in the organisation and growth in the organisation, I think, primarily.
Okay. No other cultural issues?
There would be a range of issues across any organisation, Senator. There's no particular cultural issue that I would identify as the reason. Yeah,
how many organisational reviews have been conducted at Housing Australia in the last couple of years? Do you know of any?
I haven't participated in a full organisational review while I've been there, and I can't comment on the prior.
None?
I can't comment on the prior, Senator.
Pardon?
I can't comment on prior to my appointment.
No, of course, I'm not asking that. So, do you know, was there one produced by Elizabeth Elmer? Did she do an organisational review for the board?
Is that the name of the entity that did?
The name of the person who did the review? No?
I'm not familiar with that name particularly.
Do you know Mr Langford?
So, Senator, I'm aware that prior to my appointment there was some work being done by Elizabeth Elmer, and I'm not aware of the terms of engagement of that. I'm not aware of what the final output in relation to her full brief at that time was.
Has it been completed?
She's no longer engaged by the organisation, Senator.
Okay, so it was commenced but not completed.
Ms Elmer contributed, I understand, to what became a briefing pack for me when I joined the organisation. I think at the time it was drafted as an incoming brief. I understand she contributed to that. I don't know that there is another report that she produced. Okay,
there's been no other organisational reviews produced for the board in that time?
So when you say organisational reviews, Senator, because I want to just make sure I'm clear in answering the question.
Board commissioned inquiries or undertakings which look at the overall performance and structure of the organisation?
None commissioned by the board, Senator.
Okay.
But not since my appointment.
Nothing by you?
Yeah, I've undertaken a number of pieces of work.
You have?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And that's into the executive structure?
It's looked at the executive structure and the way that the organisation works, yes.
Okay. So last estimates we discussed, I think it was with Miss Braid, we discussed some of the workers' comp issues. Is she here today?
She is, Senator, yeah.
Yeah. So I think at the time you said that there were 4 claims?
I believe that's correct.
Do you want to come to the... Do you want to get Miss Braid to come to the table?
Yeah, Miss Braid, if you wouldn't mind coming to the table. But yes, Senator.
Okay. Hello. So I think at the last estimate you said that there were 4 workers' comp claims.
Yes, 4 active workers' compensation claims.
Is that right? And are any of these claims against members of the executive?
Senator, a workers' compensation claim arises from an employee seeing a medical professional who determines that they have incurred a workplace injury, and a claim is then made to Comcare.
So my question is, where of these, is it 4 or is it still 4?
4 active claims, yes.
4 active, and how many are inactive in the last year?
I believe there have only been 4.
It's only 4. Okay. And do any of these involve allegations against members of the board or the executive?
Not to my knowledge.
They don't. They definitely don't?
Senator, we'll need to take that on notice because I think Ms Braid's just said to the best of her knowledge, but I understand you're pressing for more specificity.
Well, the reason I'm pressing for these answers is because you have had very high turnover. I think in the last estimates we talked about 20% of the staff has turned over. Is that right?
Ms Braid, you got the latest turnover figures?
Yes, the latest figure is 25% turnover as an average for the last...
I mean, it's a very high turnover. You've had these issues canvassed in the intersection report. You have these workers' claims. I just want to make sure we have the record right. So there's been no claims made against members of the board or the executive from these staff who are currently undertaking the claims.
Senator, we're going to take that question on notice because...
But do you know? Because if you know the answer, you have to provide it.
Well, I don't have knowledge of it.
Ms Braid might know.
Ms
Do you
Braid.
know?
I can confirm that no members of the senior executive or board are named in any of the statements that have been provided to us via Comcare.
Okay. Can I ask you about, did you have a piece of work done by Landers and Rogers?
Landers and Rogers are a law firm, Senator.
Yeah, what do they do for you?
They do manage a range of legal matters for us.
Okay. Who's the Chief Legal Officer at Housing Australia?
Ms Jacobs?
Okay, is she here?
No, she's not.
She's
Senator.
not here. Okay. Do you know whether or not she was a past and recent partner at Lander and Rogers?
I believe she was employed by Landers and Rogers prior to her appointment at Housing Australia.
Okay. And who decided to engage Lander and Rogers?
Well, there's been a range of matters we would have engaged them on, Senator, so I can't give you a comprehensive answer. There are a range of law firms that act for us across a range of matters.
Okay. But do you know of any conflicts, disclosures or anything else we should know about in relation to that engagement?
So if you're asking about Ms Jacobs...
I'm asking about the engagement of Lander and Rogers, yeah.
Well, Senator, I'm not aware of any, but we have a conflicts of interest process where people declare conflicts and there's a conflict management plan put in place if there are issues related to any individual and the conflicts that they declare is in the normal course of business.
Okay. In terms of these other issues, are any of these issues in relation to bullying? The allegations that have been made inside Housing Australia, are any of them to do with bullying?
The nature of the claims varies and it relates to the injury that the employee has sustained in the workplace.
So it's kind of a binary thing.
Well, Senator, if I may, I think the nature of Comcare doesn't test whether there is a bullying claim. I think if you're asking about people's experience in the workplace, there's clearly some people
Okay.
who...
How many bullying claims do you have at the moment at Housing Australia, if any?
When you say bullying claims,
how
so
many-
active claims that we're considering...
Yeah, how many active claims are currently being managed by Housing Australia about staff complaining about being bullied?
Ms Braid, do you have that information?
I don't believe there are any active complaints at the moment.
There's none. Okay. When's the last time you did a staff survey?
We're currently in the process of doing one right now, Senator.
But when was the last one?
It must have been prior to my appointment,
So you
Senator.
haven't done one. How long have you been there?
I've been here just over a year.
Okay. And when will this staff survey be completed?
Ms Braid, do you have the answer to that?
We're expecting the results. The the week of, I believe, the 16th of December, that week. Senator Bragg, you're at 10 minutes. I'll give you another block.
That'd be good, thanks. Okay, well, will you provide us with a summary of those findings in due course in an appropriate way?
I'm happy to take that on notice, Senator, yes.
Okay. I want to go to this home guarantee scheme issue now. So we had a discussion with the Treasury Secretary before. She didn't promise to provide the modelling. This may be a question for Treasury. I certainly don't want to verbal the Secretary. She said that she will have a look at whether or not it could be provided. What's the answer?
Senator, the Secretary gave an undertaking that we would have a look at what can be provided, and we will do that. There's a range of FOIs and OPDs on foot. We will go back and have a further look at all of those and the questions that you've asked and see what information can be provided.
So what did you find? Did you get the pick and shovel out down at Langton Crescent and dig up a few holes?
I'm not quite sure how to answer that question, Senator.
What did you find in the last few hours?
Senator, we have not done the comprehensive search that the Secretary has committed to.
Okay. But does it really require a comprehensive search? I mean, the Prime Minister of the country has been talking about a 0.5% increase, which actually is apparently, according to you, 0.6% increase. I think you did the modelling, Mr. Dowie, and we had a conversation about 8 weeks ago. So, did you write this down onto a piece of paper?
Nicholas Dowie, the Acting First Assistant Secretary of the Housing Supply and Cities Division.
Yep.
So, Senator Bragg, I think as I answered in November when we previously had this conversation, we did provide advice to the Minister's office in writing about the results of the modelling.
Great. Well, that's very helpful. So you physically wrote it down on a computer?
That information was transmitted via email.
And you wrote it, did you?
I personally didn't write it, but it was written by a Treasury officer and sent via email to the Minister's office.
And how many people helped in the Treasury modelling? Which part of Treasury? Did you do it in the housing bit?
The modelling was emanated from Housing Group.
You did it in the housing group?
Yes.
You did it, okay. Did you have to build a model for this purpose?
So the model that was used was built.
The short model?
It was that was an input that was used, and it was based off that.
Yeah.
So the model has been built within the housing group to support a range of things.
Okay, that's very good.
So the model was built, and the model enables us to do a range of things, including about estimating the impact of prices on particular things, and that's what this model has helped us to determine.
Okay, so let's just go through it again. So the policy was announced in May, right, during the election campaign, I think it was. Then in July you received the request to do modelling. That request came through from the Housing Minister's office. Is that right?
Yes.
Senator, can I just add some additional context?
Sure.
I think implicit in your question is the idea that the first time Treasury provided policy advice to ministers about the price impacts of this scheme was after the announcement, and that's factually not correct.
Not implying that.
It's
I'm asking
important that
questions just to
that's
try and stack up the sequence of events here.
So the sequence of
Because we
events...
can't get a piece of paper out of your department.
Sure.
And apparently, according to your own FOI response 3931, you've already identified the pieces of paper. So in fact, no pick and shovel or anything else is required to find the pieces of paper at Langton Crescent. You already know what they are. You've just decided not to give them to the public.
No, Senator, I think we've written to you suggesting that there's a charge to be paid for that FOI
No, that's a different
request,
one. It's a different one. You're starting to sound like the ministers in the government complaining about us using the discovery processes.
Well, they're the ones.
Be careful who you hang out with.
They are the ones who have to do the enormous volumes of work that you create.
Sorry, we're
Senator.
asking questions.
I wouldn't be surprised if they complained.
This is a
because
democracy.
they want to be working. They want to be working,
Are we not allowed to ask
not working
questions
for you.
anymore?
No, well, you're here asking questions. I'm sure you're making some sort of progress. Keep going.
You're a generous king and ruler of this land. So what I'm trying to work out is how many people in Treasury worked on this exercise? 2 or 3 people?
So this work was done by some folks who are in the planning, cities, infrastructure and analysis branch,
Okay.
and the amount of people who work, and we have a small team who produce this work.
Okay, so they did it. How many pieces of paper was it on?
So the advice that was provided to the Minister's office was a single email that explained the results of the modelling.
But like, was it a long piece? Was it a long thing?
Are you asking about the length of the email?
Yeah. Or did it have tables and graphs, and did it have sensitivities and other things written down in English?
Well, the email was written in English, and
Of
the email
course.
did contain what the results of the modelling were.
Okay. Was there a table?
I believe the email advice that we gave did have the high-level answer about what the impact of that was. I don't believe there was a table attached to that.
Okay, but were there numbers in there?
There were numbers in the email, and I believe that I highlighted the outcome of those numbers in the questions and the exchange we had last time.
Okay, let me ask you a really dumb question. When you read all the Prime Minister's transcripts, which I'm sure you read because you're very excited to hear what he has to say, and you heard him saying it was going to cause a 0.5% price increase for first-home buyers, did Treasury write to the Prime Minister to say, actually, the number is 0.6%, or did you just let it go?
It's a vanishingly small difference, Senator, isn't it? Really, like so 0.6%
even see the piece of
over
paper.
6 years. 0.6% over 6 years, vanishingly small. I don't know what was in the Prime Minister's mind. It might have been 0.5% over 5 years. I mean, that's well and truly short of the attribution errors that you made earlier this morning.
What did I get wrong?
Well, you tried to claim, as I recall, that all of the house price increases.
No, I didn't.
You did. That all of the house price increases over the last quarter
So it was a factor.
were somehow related to this program.
It was a factor. It is a
No,
factor.
no, you did.
It's a factor.
You did.
Nice diversion. What's the answer?
Senator,
Or have you forgotten the question because after that political speech?
Senator, I can answer that.
Sorry, I've asked the modeller.
They've both been
Senator-
concentrated.
Okay, well, you answer the question. Fine.
I saw the Prime Minister's comments on this. I made the assumption that there'd been some minor rounding or outcome in a number that is actually very small in the context of price changes that are happening in the market and over a relatively long period of time. This is a 6-year modelled impact. I mean, the prices in the housing market have gone up, I think, something like 7.5% over the past 12 months. We're talking about a
so you didn't do anything.
0.6.
Of course not.
You didn't do anything.
Senator, I did
left
not.
it.
I did not, and I'm very acutely aware of my obligations to make sure that the Prime Minister has accurate information as
Okay.
a public servant. That's a very important part of our job.
Okay.
And I did not read it as in any way problematic.
Okay, have you been... Okay, given the extensive public debate now about house prices and whether this scheme has or hasn't done something, most of the independent economists say that it has had an impact. Have you been asked to redo the modelling?
No.
Okay. So just to round out this, because it's quite important given we don't seem to be able to make any progress. So you transmitted an email to the Minister's office which did not contain any tables or graphs, but did contain numbers, and that's it.
So, I think, as we've said previously, we did provide advice to the Minister's office that outlined the summary of the results of the modelling.
Did it contain sensitivities and risks?
So, what that advice did, it talked about the impact, which is the 0.6% nationally over 6 years.
Okay. So the question is, did it just say, this is the number we think it is, that the end, goodbye, all the best for the future? Or did it say, this is the number we think it might be, and here are some things that could impact it, including supply, other factors?
So we'll have to double-check exactly what that email said, but my recollection is we did talk about the results of the modelling and the impact of on prices, which is what we were asked to do, and that's what we advised on.
Okay.
Senator, in this modelling work...
He'd answer the question. I'm happy with